Hello everybody, it's Katie Wilson, the Volunteering Community Coordinator here at Cranleigh Arts. Today I am absolutely delighted to be joined by Matt and Paul Long, who are two halves of Catfish. There are another two band members who unfortunately couldn't join us today, but you know, we'll hear a little bit about them hopefully later. So Catfish will be joining us at Cranleigh Arts on Friday the 9th of July, 8 p.m, and we certainly can't wait to have you back again. So thank you very much, both of you, for joining us today.
Not a problem. Thank you very much for having us, Katie.
Okay,
appreciate it.
Absolutely great. So I guess the question is, how has the past year been for you all?
It's been an interesting one, but then again, I think that's an understatement for everyone. I think it's certainly an experience we never thought we would go through, and it's all a learning curve, really. And I think we'll come out of this all different, and I don't know, we'll have a different respect to people around us and things like that. But as far as work-wise goes, obviously we've had many tours cancelled and many gigs cancelled, and yeah, it's all been rescheduled. So coming up, we're going to have to fit about 18 months worth of gigs into about 6 months. So it's going to be interesting coming back out of this. I think we're going to be very broken men, you know, once it's all kind of settle down and get back out there again. But even so, we're very much looking forward to that. But even so, it has been still a busy year in itself. We've done a lot of acoustic live streams, well, up until a point last year, which were really fun. We did a lot of like online festivals, which were really cool, and we did a live stream with the full band as well, which we then recorded into a live CD and a live DVD, even though there was no one there. We'd always wanted to do a live CD at some point, and you know, it came out really well. The live streams, so I thought, yeah, we'd do that. But yeah, the lack of audience was interesting.
Yeah, I imagine it must be very strange. You're not getting that immediate feedback that you'd normally get, would you, from an audience, I guess? Yeah,
it's definitely lacking the human interaction a lot of the time when you're doing the live streams. Like, for instance, when we're doing like the acoustic ones, when I do my ones, I'm just sat in this very chair looking at this very camera, and potentially not even looking at any screens of people. Sometimes if it's like a Facebook Live, there won't be anyone to look at. It'll just be, you know, likes and comments and things like that, which is also lovely. But even so, it's definitely not a replacement for the real thing. And it's been interesting to get used to. Like, you get a way around the rig and the way around getting the sound right, which is an interesting thing that I've kind of wanted to learn how to do anyway. So it's interesting how it has bared fruit a little bit, this whole situation. But yeah, no, it's been tough all the same. And, you know, I think everyone else has felt the same way, especially musicians as well. Everyone really has kind of had to adapt in a lot of ways. And I'm sure we're not the only ones looking forward to getting back out to quote unquote normal.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Paul, can you just talk us a little bit through how the band came about? How did Catfish come into being?
Well, it's started in summer 2014. Matt had been in a couple of bands at college, and they both sort of disintegrated at around the same time. And he came to me and said, "Do you want to just sit and play some blues and maybe play some pubs?" Just because he had nowhere else to play. And we'd met a couple of people, a drummer and a bass player at a jam in Worthing, Kevin Yates and Dusty Bones. And so we started playing and really enjoyed it. And so we then went into a studio in Portsmouth in September and recorded 8 songs, all live in the day, live solos, live vocals, and thought, well, that'll do for a demo. And but it got a lot of interest and people really enjoyed it. So we kind of put it out as a first album. It got picked up by a lot of the internet DJs and Radio 2 as well. And got quite a lot of play. And before we knew it, we were doing sort of proper gigs rather than little playing back rooms of pubs. But and we, as the time went on, we started to write our own material, and that became the Broken Man album, the second album. That really put us on the map, really, as a real full-time working band. So that's kind of how it started, just jamming around with friends.
Yeah, fabulous. Excellent. And you've won some awards, haven't you, I believe?
Yeah. yes, we've been lucky to be nominated quite a few times as well, and we won the what was it, the best blues
It was
band England? I
it
think that
was
was the first
UK Blues Act parentheses England was the
Excellent,
first one in
excellent.
2018.
and
I believe.
that Matt won Instrumentalist of the Year last year and this year. Catfish won Band of the Year
2019.
last year. So yeah, and it's been interesting. I mean, it's not, music isn't really a competition, is it? But it's still nice to get the to get people's attention and to be recognized by your peers, and I'll be the last one to say it doesn't help, because it does help, especially when you're trying to book European tours or whatever. People take notice of you a bit more. So it's been good for us, but it's not the be all and end of everything by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, that's been a fun part of it too.
Excellent.
Yeah, I always say that it's definitely the thing I take out of it more is that people actually give, like, people actually care about what we're doing, and it's that's more important to me than any kind of like trophy or award or anything like that. It's like, oh, okay, this thing that we're dedicating our lives to actually means something to people, and they're actually genuinely passionate about it, and that's so like that's so heartwarming to me, and just reassuring more than anything.
Brilliant. So what would you say your main influences are? Who's influenced you the most?
Well, I'd say as a band, since those beginning days with Kevin and Dusty, they've both left us and moved on to other things now. As we started to become more of a full-time professional band and touring Europe, it was not so convenient. It wasn't so much what they had in mind. And the new people knew. I mean, Adam's been with us. Adam, our bass player, has been with us since 2017. And Kev Hickman joined us December 19, something like that. He'd only done a few gigs with us, including the last time we were at Cranleigh. That was about his fourth or fifth gig, and then we had to stop. But it's made the band.
Been with us for over a year, and he's only done 5 gigs, so that's to boost those numbers up.
It's made the band sound bigger. We're a rockier band than we were when we started out, and I think definitely one of the feels that certainly Matt and I are always influenced by is bands like Government Mule. I think are they a blues band, are they a rock band? And that's what a lot of people say about us. Well, it's a mixture of the two, and so that's kind of where we're at. We're definitely the rocky end of the blues spectrum, but I love the fact in blues that there is a spectrum, that it isn't all just one type of thing. So bands like Government Mule, for me, another band would be Little Feet. And not that I'm a great guitar player. I used to be a guitar player until I had Matt to play guitar better than I ever could.
I stole all your guitars.
And people like Lowell George from Little Feet influenced me, not so much as a guitarist, but as a writer and just general feel, that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, I recently got into Little Feet because of Paul. He introduced me to them, and I love them. They're a great band, and Lowell George is fantastic. I've always wanted to kind of get better at my slide playing, and I think I might try and steal a few Lowell George licks, things like that, try and learn a bit more.
No, they're worth stealing.
No, I'm not stealing. I'm not stealing. I'm inspired by. That's the way you go. Yeah. But for me, it's definitely started out with Paul and my dad introducing me to blues music at a very early age, and people like B.B. King, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Buddy Guy, a lot of the kind of big obvious ones, Jimi Hendrix, people like that. Again, another guy who's like, is he blues, is he rock kind of thing. But yeah, I was always surrounded by that from an early age, and then as I kind of progressed further, it got more and more rocky as well, but still loving the traditional stuff as well. But I got more into rock, and then from rock I went into heavy rock, and then from rock I went in heavy rock into metal, things like that. And then from there I just kind of expanded out from there into pretty much any genre. I love bits of country music here and there. I love bits of even some modern music nowadays. I think some stuff out there is actually fantastic. And there's a lot of things. I've always said that there's no, I think in every genre there's going to be something that everyone likes, even if it's just one thing. So I always try and look around for that one thing. But for me, it's players like those guys, but modern players like Joe Bonamassa is a huge influence on me. For at least the past half of my life, been just he's one of my main heroes. Gary Moore, I've mentioned Stevie Ray, but then obviously rock bands like Alter Bridge, and Slash, people like that, and lots of people out there. So it's kind of we all have this thing of having like multiple influences and kind of meshing them together between each band member. So like Paul will have all the prog side of things, your Pink Floydy things. I love Pink Floyd as well. Lots of proggy things like that. Adam will have all the technical things down because he's very much into like technical music. And then Kev is a lot more of he loves a lot of like the classic rock stuff and the 90s stuff. But also he's really good at like the blues feels and things like that. So yeah, he all together it kind of meshes into this progressive blues rock band, which is, I guess, how we would describe it. If we had to put like a label on it, I guess that would be the closest one to it. But yeah, no, I've always said we're not a traditional blues band, and yeah, I'll never say that, I don't think. So not that there's anything wrong with that, but
No.
I just don't think we're not meant to be that kind of thing.
I think that sounds like the nice thing is that you've just taken the influences from lots of different areas and sort of incorporated it into making your sound, as you say, your own and you're very unique.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have a favourite venue? I mean, obviously Cranleigh Arts is, you like better.
I was going to say that's a trick question.
Yeah.
We're talking to someone from Cranleigh Arts.
But
I do love Cranleigh Arts. So I think that is certainly one of my favourite local venues around here. It's a great place to play. I actually grew up in there doing like a drama school thing. Like a weekend drama school. I forget the name of it now. Crypt, I believe it was called.
Okay.
I think it stopped now. It was a while ago. It was back when I was like 13, 14. And I loved it. That was another thing I wanted to do, was to pretend to be an actor every now and again. So I grew up in that art centre all the time. And it's a great venue to play. When we first played there, it was very surreal because I had been, doing like Son of a Preacher Man and other kind of shows like that in there. So I was very much like, oh, okay, this is the other thing that I do in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do love Cranleigh Arts Centre. I love just traveling to new places and meeting new people. That's the main thing I love doing with music. But I also love playing the regular places, seeing the regular people, seeing the regular kind of look on their face. It's great. So places like one of our favourites is a place called the Tuesday Night Music Club in Coulston, run by our good friend Richard Dunning. And yeah, they've also won a UK Blues Award recently for online events because they've been doing a lot of like live streams from the venue, obviously because they shut down. So yeah, I want to give a big shout out to them. And it's tough because they're all so great. And we've met so many great people along the way, both audience members and people working at the venues, things like that. And it's, I'm very happy to be playing in these kind of places and meeting these kind of people.
Yeah. Fantastic. So for anyone who comes to one of your shows, just give us a little taste of what they can expect when they come to see Catfish.
Lots of sweaty gurney guitar faces from me. Yeah, probably even more so because I'll be in immense pain, being like, oh, I haven't done this in 9 months.
That's right, it is hard to remember.
Yeah,
because the Cranleigh night will be our first show back.
So fab. Be really special night then.
It was our last show and it will be our first show. It's come full circle.
Excellent.
Yeah, last time was end of February 2020.
Yeah, I think so. If I remember right.
Wasn't quite our last show, but near enough. Yeah,
we did do the live stream, but as far as audience capacity, an audience paying gig, things like that, it was Cranleigh Arts Centre. But we are looking forward to getting back there. It's going to be great fun.
Yeah. So I guess with all the sort of different music that you obviously take your influences from, is there like one song that you kind of wish you'd written? It's just, for you, it just has everything that you would like. Paul, what do you think? Have you got one?
Oh, I don't know. It probably wouldn't be a song. It would be an album, because I'm kind of old-fashioned in that I like albums rather than individual songs. And I know for me, the success of a good album is when you put it on at the beginning, and before you realize that you've just listened to the whole thing, you didn't want to skip anything.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it was too hard to skip things anyway in the past, because you had to get up from the room, walk across the room, go to the record player, not want to scratch your record. Now, it's too easy now to miss out tracks. So I don't know, it would be complete albums. So it would be something like Dark Side of the Moon, or Ricky Lee Jones's first album, or Elton John's Captain Fantastic album, something where I think it just works as a whole.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we tried to do as well. Definitely tried to make an album have not a concept album, but at least have some sort of theme or something where all the songs sound like they're part of a set, that they belong together, that it's not just randomly put together. So that's kind of what I look for.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, really. I think of like an album as like almost like a set list in a way. Like you don't want it to necessarily, well, it depends on the band, but for us, you don't necessarily want it to be at 100% all the time, or at the as in like energy wise, like you don't want it to be full tilt rock song all the way through, and you also don't want it to be ballads the whole way through. So it's definitely it's definitely finding the flow to an album, really. But as far as like songs I wished I've written, I'm actually the opposite end of that. I am the thing where I wish I'd written a certain riff, like a certain part of a song, and I'm like, damn, that's a good riff, and I could kind of hear like where I would have taken the song, kind of thing. Not that the song itself is, it fits in that song perfectly, but yeah, I'm like, oh man, if I'd written that riff, I'd be very happy if I did, just because it has like a certain effect on me in a way. I guess it's like a instinctual thing. I'm just like, I like, especially if it's something that I probably could have written. Like if it's like something that's in my kind of wheelhouse, I'm like, I was probably like a few days away from that. They beat me to it. And then there have been a couple of times where it's been the other way around, where I've written the riff, and then I just haven't gotten around to recording it and putting it into a song, things like that. And then at some point later on in time, I'll listen to an album, I'll listen to a song, and I'll be like, that's the riff. That's the riff I wrote. And I'm like, God, that's not fair. I wrote it first. But obviously I'm not like that. I'm not like claim it first, things like that. But yeah, no, it's a weird thing when you find a riff and it's like, oh yeah, actually that's something I would wish I'd written.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much for talking to me. It's been a real pleasure.
No problem. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so just a reminder that you are with us on Friday, the 9th of July. Tickets £14, and you can buy them already. They are on cranleighArtscentre.org. Yeah, so thank you so much for taking the time, and until next time, we will see you again very soon.